making what if, and that one wasn't even finished. This what if wasn't even finished, and I wanted to make a different one because this one sucked. I want to actually make an interesting backstory, like a good one, not some boring one where he's just ending up in the Hidden Leaf Village. No. That, boys, we're going to the Hidden Mist. Wanna know why? Because my boy Christian's gonna be born in the Hidden Mist. He's gonna be an ice wielder. Ice and fire. I'm kidding, that'd be way too overpowered. Sasuke wouldn't even stand a chance. He's gonna be using... His elements will be ice and wind. Okay, that just sounds kinda dumb, so ice and lightning. He says, he can use 5 jutsu at the age of 5. Ice style ice spikes, which means like he can like shoot out ice spikes from his hands. Second, ice freezer. He freezes the entire ground that he's of his radius and freezes him and freezes his opponents. Like, I'm taking some inspiration from Todoroki's quirk. But mine is not a quirk, it's an element. I just ran out of ideas for ice powers because the ice powers in the Mist Village actually kind of suck. Christian would say, whatever. He'd have bluish hair. He'd say, I don't care about these 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. The only good one is Zabu's Eye anyways. Whatever. I need to find something to do. He says, ooh, maybe I can go buy a sword. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe like that strong sword. He goes and buys a sword. He says, awesome. Now time to go train. So about 6 years past, Christian always on top. He's like, yeah, I come in shocking. Hey, I come in shocking. Hey. On the last day of the academy, he says, in his ice kicking that guy, he turns to ice. His whole body starts to glow blue. Then he says, and then his eyes start to glow blue. Well, and he says, and he says also, he is always known to be the successor of the 3 tails. Well, he always denies it, saying that he doesn't want a tail beast in him. They say, okay then. He'd say, I want to learn my own techniques without some beast's help. Isubu is saddened by this when he tells this to Yagura, even though Yagura is not the 3 tails Jinchuriki. Saying, I don't care if I have a tail beast or not. I don't want one. I'll choose later. So basically he walks out of the office of this and says, whatever. When he gets on his team, he gets with a kid named, he gets with 2 teammates. One, goddamn, Mizumi. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, his name is not Christian. His name is Kazumi. Remember from my Haikyuu what if? Yeah, I just found some random Naruto name generator. It was Kazumi. We have Kazumi. Oh, God. So basically, I'm gonna be sticking with the name Christian, even though his name's gonna be Kazumi. So, I don't really know what I can name him. Like, their 2 other teammates. I have an idea, though. So when he goes, he says, Sensei, may I just have 1 person on my team? I don't want 2. He says, well, you're required to have 3. He says, if we keep on following these boring rules, then I don't really feel like becoming a shinobi. That's pretty dumb to become a shinobi! If you're not really doing anything, if all you're doing is just following the rules, you need to break them sometimes. They could be for the better if you think about it. If you think about it really, every war that's gone on has had some good to it. Some war had some pizza after it. Everything we do is kinda stupid. All this fighting, it's useless. Useless. He says, over and over and over. What is the point of this stupid shinobi world? There is nothing. It's useless and crappy. You only live to die. Boy, you better get back. He doesn't even care whatever happens. He's like, well, whatever, I don't even care anymore. They say, come on. He says, fine. He gets in a team with a girl with, like, her elements are going to be fire and thing. And she says, haha, I had the element advantage over the ice boy. He says, well, I don't got the skill over envelopment, I could tell you that much. She says, you wanna go? And he says, I'll kill you right now. He says, well, you can't kill your teammate. And he says, what if I don't care if she's my teammate? Like, honestly, like, if I'm gonna be put with her, can I please be put with somebody else who's not annoying? He says, fine, you can get put with her. Her name is him. So the girl's name is Liz, and the guy's next name. And he says, alright, a normal person for once. And he's not even, I mean, he's not really that strong, which is kinda sad. I don't really know why it is. He says, but whatever, I guess, whatever. He says, well, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the suckiest life ever that I've ever wanted to do, because I'm stuck with crappy teammates who can barely do crap. He says, but at least one of them's not annoying like the other one is. He says, God damn, you are so negative. Liz says, gosh, are you one day not negative? He says, what the heck is the point of being positive when everyone in the world just dies eventually? There's no one immortal besides Madara Uchiha. And he's not even immortal. He died from something stupid. They say, why would you speak of Madara? He says, 'cause I can. Got a problem with me talking about a person? And they say, God, what has gotten into you? You have gotten much different from before. Usually you would be all excited to be in the beginning. He says, dude, I placed first. I chose to stick with you idiots. 'Cause I felt like it, because I didn't want to go to the higher ranks. He says, well, yeah. I wanted to not stick with you idiots. So be grateful that I'm even on your team. She says, God, what is wrong with him? He says, probably angerness. I mean, he is the grandson of Yagura. Yeah, I'm doing that for plot convenience. Screw that guy. Ah! Well, I'm gonna say this right now. Screw Kagura. He says, well, I'm pretty much whatever. He says, well, whatever. I kind of want to become Mizukage anyways. Let's just get started. While I've been babbling on with this talk, I've been actually thinking of a name. And I thought of a name for him. The plan is I don't know. Okay, well, since there's a guy in my name named Koji, I guess I'll call him Koji. I don't know, I can't think of any other names. Oh god, I can't think of any more because I'm stupid. I'm terrible at making names, bruh. I could not make a single name if I wanted to. Even if I wanted to, that is an instant no. I still can't make that crap up. I can't make this crap up. I don't know how to make names. I don't know any. Like, it's kinda dumb that a person who could easily name someone, like, I could easily name someone, it's just I don't know a name. Which means I don't know a name. Okay, look, I'm just getting annoyed. He says, well, whatever. So after he meets his sensei, it's just a normal Miss Ninja who's pretty good at ice wielding, but he's not as good as Christian is. He says, whatever, I don't even care. When he's on his way home, he says, hold on a minute. Is that? And then his eyes glow with happiness. Zabuza Momochi? He says, excuse me, Mr. Zabuza? And he says, what do you want, kid? He says, can you train me in swordsmanship? He says, haha, what can you do? He says, may I have a sparring match to show you? May I demonstrate my strength? He says, sure, kid, sure. But you're probably weak. I don't even want to see you. He says, alright, damn. He says, I'm just treating you how you treat your classmates. He's like, alright, well, I don't even know how you know that, but whatever. I really don't care. He says, whatever. So basically, he'd say, when they start off, Christian would pull out his katana and say, focus, 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 focus. Putting so much chakra into his sword that his sword expands. And he says, ah, and disappears, saying, ah, cutting into Zabuza's sword, putting a mark in it. He says, no! But then something weird happens. His rage starts to build up. He's like, what the? This kid's anger and rage is building up. He clenches his hands together and slams his axe-handled hand into Zabuza's face, saying, ah! And then he starts to go nuts. Like, he goes cray-cray and says, ah! Cutting right through Zabuza. Oh, but it appears to be a water clone. He says, ah! And then disappears and says, water style! Water dragon! Oh yeah, his elements are also water too, since all Hidden Mr. Ninja had that. Creates a giant water dragon and hits Zabuza with it. Then says, ah! His teeth start to grow. He says, what the? He says, ah! He says, I have 2 Kekkei Genkais, idiot! I don't just have an Ice Kekkei Genkai, I have a Wolf Kekkei Genkai! Just keeps on shooting, cause the wolf power gives him blue fire. I'm kidding, it gives him normal fire. So he starts shooting fireballs out of his mouth, showing, saying, and then finally he's knocked out by Zabuza and taken to his house. He says, this kid, man, he's insanely powerful. He says, starting today, I will be your sensei. I will teach you after all your missions. So after that, Christian team would immediately be normal. He'd say, whatever. He's like, whatever. So after going on so many missions, like C ranks included, it's time for the tuning exams, because I'm too lazy to think of any other ideas. He says, hidden leaf, it's so far, whatever. It says, yo, Zabuza, I have 2 weeks before I go to the tuning exams. He says, yeah, so what do you want me to do? Can you teach me the Demon Hunter technique? He says, sure, why not? So after the 2 weeks, he finally masters Demon Hunter, saying, yes! Woohoo! He says, I did it. He says, kid! He goes, huh? Yeah? He says, you went crazy and said, you were bragging, going, we did it, I did it, saying, relying that you didn't even have a comrade to help. Usually everyone needs a comrade. Even I have comrades. He says, Jesus, I thought you're a cold-hearted Zabuza, not the weepy dude who needs help. He says, really, kid? After all these time we've known each other, you want to go fire back? He says, look, Zabuza, no offense, but, well, whatever. But then they realized that the tuning exams was delayed, and Christian gets the worst, and I mean the absolute worst news. He hears Zabuza Momochi has died. With tears in his eyes, he says, I will find whoever killed him, and I will destroy them. Activating his wolf eyes, which turn his eyes blue with slit-like blue eyes, saying, I will enter anyone. So basically, he sees Zabuza's dead body and says, and then he turns his head, saying, who did this? Then he sees 4 people walking back. He says, hey, you! He says, oh, us? He says, did you kill him? He says, a Miss Genin? What's he doing here? And his eyes are slit-like, kind of like Naruto's were. He goes, I'm gonna kill you all. He says, Kakashi, we need a little help. Because it's only Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. He says, I'm gonna kill you all. Then he says, lightning bomb! Creates a I'm kidding, that's not a jutsu. He says, trying to kill him. Trying to kill all of them, but then Kakashi would say, get away from my students! He says, why would you kill my sensei? They say, who was your sensei? He says, Zabuza Momochi, he was my teacher. I will destroy all you leaf idiots. He says, Sasuke, don't do it. He says, this little brat thinks we're all idiots. Just because we killed Zabuza. He says, well, that was probably a comrade of his. He says, you guys will go alive this time, but during the tuning exams, I will kill you all. I will destroy you all and prove to everyone in all the 5 great nations that the mist is on top. Instead of you crappy leaf weaklings. He says, Kashi-sensei, may I attack him? He says, no, you cannot attack him, or else there will be a war going on. He is the grandson of the Mizukage. He says, oh, wait a minute. He says, what? He's related to the Mizukage? He says, yes. He says, and just walks away. So when the tuning, they say, where did you go? He said, to find the people who killed Zabuza. He says, we're sorry for your loss. He goes, whatever. It's fine. I got to learn one last thing before he died. He says, if I ever see him again, that'll be the best day ever, but never gonna happen. He says, I knew I shouldn't have put trust in people. Whatever. He starts it off with the Tunisians being there first, saying, whatever. Traveling without his team, saying, I don't care, they can go by themselves. Putting a note where they're supposed to be there. Putting a little water barrier around it that doesn't affect the paper. Writing that he'll be in the Leaf Village early, so you guys better get there that they better get there soon before he kills them all. He says, PTS, that's a joke. I would never kill a comrade unless they were killing whoever I knew. He says, I don't even care anymore what's going on. This is just the dumbest. When he reaches the Leaf Village, he says, he sees Kankuro attacking Konohamaru. He says, hey, let him go. He says, what are you gonna do about it? He says, I'll kill you. He goes, what are you gonna do, you little brat? I'll punch you in the face. Right now, he says, and just maniacally laughs, saying, if you lay one finger on me, there'll be war between the mist and the sand. He says, how is there? You're not even important. He says, oh, so I'm guessing that Yagura's grandson isn't important at all. He says, what? There's no way you're the third Mizukage's grandson. He says, could he do this? And pulls out a sword and drops it back in. Kankuro falls to the floor, saying, does your body feel weird? Does it fall to the floor? If it doesn't, then you are not strong. Then you aren't weak. Okay, that was the song. Does your body feel weird? Do you fall to the floor? If it falls right now, then you're not strong, you're weak. And then he says, hey now, why don't you... And then he says, whatever, I'm leaving. He says, whatever, I guess I can learn tons of techniques. Basically, when he heads there, he says, what should I do first? He says, yo, Naruto. He says, didn't you try to kill us? He says, look, I'm trying to figure out a friendly attitude, because I'm angry, but I'm also trying to be happy. I don't know why. Probably because my teammates convinced me for 20 days straight to be nice. He says, alright, I'll show you Ichiraku Ramen. He says, okay. He says, when he eats a ramen, he says, ah! He says, he says, ice style. Ice cooler. He puts his hand over the ramen bowl and starts to cool it off, saying, whoa, you can do that! He says, yep, that's just the power of being an ice wielder. He says, Sasuke says, whatever, he's not even that good. He says, wanna die today, Uchiha boy? He says, how do you know about my clan? He says, duh, the logo, dumbass. Whatever. He says, well, time to get this. So when they entrance Christmas Day, Zabuza did teach me a lot more. So once he'd passed the exam first, saying, I come in first, right? He says, yep. So they drip in the ice. He says, wielding so many hand signs. But what he's actually doing is showing signs. He's actually showing hand signs to them, to the people, to say, telling them, yo guys, these are what the answers are. Doot 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 doot. These are the answers. Doot doot doot. These are the answers. Doot doot doot. These are the answers. I'm getting annoying. So basically, he says, "Oh, what is it here?" And says, "You are all are weak. I don't even know why you guys are here. Don't waste your time on crap like this." He doesn't even know why he's here in this boring ninja academy, in this boring ninja training exams. It's all old-fashioned. He doesn't even care. He says, whatever. He walks in and says, "I'm gonna murder everyone else." Basically, when he is done, he says, "Maybe I should attach my sword somewhere else so it's not on my back, in case like someone pushes my sword too far down and I can barely grab it." He says, whatever, I don't even care anymore. He says, "Boy, you better get it back." He sees a random person throw a kunai and he says, his eyes, like the pupil go away, like angry pupils, you know, the classic anime angry pupils. Not like student pupils, like actual like pupils, kinda. You don't know what I mean. You guys don't know what I mean. Whatever. He says, "You're dead." And they go, I'm sorry. He says, and they say, "Remember what Sensei said? You have to be a nice person for 24 days. He says, 20, come on, please don't put me through torture. They say, how is this torture? I hate being nice. He says, I hate being nice to people who are annoying. He says, that's the problem. You hate being nice. Maybe be a nice person and actually help. He says, why? He says, whatever. It puts it and makes his hair fall all the way down to his eyes, saying, and then dropping tons of water on it, saying, time for the biggest part. Says, yo guys, if we ever get thirsty or thing, I can create ice. Because, well, yeah, and oh yeah, Koji has fire style and wind style. He's like, whatever. Saying that he is the strongest. He's saying that also, when the match starts, when the thing starts, they would easily pass. Christian would just cut through the entire forest, saying, yo, Team 7, you wanna come? They say, Ino's, Shikamaru's team says, who is that? He says, I am, he says, they're from the Hidden Mist Village. They're pretty good friends. We met them on our Land of Wave mission. Well, we met one of them, which tried to kill us. We don't know why we're nice to him. He's trying to change. He's trying to spend 24 hours being nice, 24 days being nice. He says, well, that's not even a task for me. Yeah, well, that's him. Like the guy who struggles to be nice to any of his comrades. So Christian gets a vein pop on his face. He says, shut up! And punches the ground, saying, just shut up. Both of you. You sound like, you guys, your voices sound like nails on a chalkboard. He says, well, you failed the challenge, which is kind of sad. He says, what did you expect from me? The guy who probably would kill his entire village if they annoyed him for 24 hours. They say, what? You would kill your village? What kind of sicko are you? He says, the sicko who doesn't give a crap. He says, so basically the tournament would start and he'd say, whew, let's see who I'm fighting first. He'd say, oh, fighting Puppet Boy, aren't I? He says, Demon Hunter! And he'd say that, immediately blitzing over, slicing Conqueror's puppet in half. And he's like, wait a minute. Shoot, I'm getting kicked out of the exam. He says, Mr. Judge guy, can I not be thing for that? It's not my fault he substituted. He says, You'll pass. He's not even dead. He's like, I just almost murdered someone, which basically means I almost failed. He says, they say, you failed already, or you already failed. He says, then what the heck was the point of being nice? He says, it was trying to make you nicer. Because a Yager has blood, he says. What did you just say? He says, you hurt us. He says, whatever. You're mad that so every other match would go pretty normal except for the Obero. Rain Ninja would probably just get wrecked. He'd be like, talking and that's it for part